Hey, Unwoke fans, friends, and followers, Jonathan Broadbent here with a special private message for those of you who have been following Unwoke Academy. I have a favor to ask of you. This is a little bit to unpack, so I'm going to make it as brief as possible. I'd like to ask you to introduce me to anybody that you know that's involved in business administration. And specifically, if you know people who are what are called CEBS, which stands for Certified Employee Benefits Specialists, or SHRM, which stands for Society of Human Resource Managers. You can see what I'm after. I have a background in plan administration for workplace retirement plans. That's the niche that I've filled for decades now in the world of finance. It's what got me recruited onto Wall Street and butted up against BlackRock because of it and all sorts of things. So a lot of what you hear from me and kind of the origins of Unwoke Academy stem from having that niche. And to sort of spell it out in ways that I think hopefully are meaningful and put this whole thing in context. If you look at any of those major financial institutions, Wall Street and otherwise, to the best of my knowledge, all of them have this policy. If any bank representative or financial planner or advisor or broker or insurance agent comes into an opportunity to pitch a company on the administration of their 401k plan, a specialist has to be present. Most all firms have that policy. I'm that specialist. And that's what got me to where I am. It's actually what led to the launch of my company and seeing what I did after about a decade of working in it from year 2002. I know this goes way back. I saw some things that led to me creating fee-based 401k.com. I saw opportunity even back then. In 2009, I launched that website, and that's what kind of created it all for me and led to the creation of my company, etc. So I'm putting a couple of things together in, I believe, a pretty unique and interesting way. The first thing to know is that when I started crisscrossing the nation and going back to the people I'd worked with for years on the administration of retirement plans and suggested that instead of saddling all employees, the people participating in the 401k, with a fee structure that siphons money out of their accounts, why don't more companies work directly with a specialist like me and work with them directly and pay them directly as an outside consultant, as a specialist, to make sure that everything's done properly, etc. What that does is it drops the what are called plan advisor fees to zero. I've shown in a bunch of charts over the last several months the impact of that. So imagine, if you will, put that hopefully in a context that makes sense. If you put money into an account somewhere in a bank or something that has a return of let's say 1%, the moment you add to that, you're better off. If you increase the 1% to 2%, you get more money. And in a very similar, actually identical way, if you reduce the fees that you're paying on any sort of monetary financial account, reduce the fees, you get more money. There are a range of estimates. It depends on how much money and what sort of growth you might experience. But all things being equal, that's the one thing you can control. So I've actually made a pretty successful company out of that conversation. I've gone to a lot of different companies. Many of them like the autonomy of that. It means that in addition to reducing the fees that employees pay to zero, it also means that contractually, I and my company have eliminated any and all conflicts of interest, which are very prevalent in that marketplace. Cross-selling, getting kickbacks, those sorts of things are actually more common than not in 401k plans and how they're run. So putting all that together and then adding the element of Unwoke, which I've been working on now for the past, it's been about 4 years, and actually dating back to butting up against and discovering ESG 10 years ago in 2015. So anyway, there was a kind of an evolution to that side of it. I have been continuing to advocate and encourage other financial professionals to find a specialist willing to work fee only for companies and then get more employees, because oftentimes they're the driving force in that transition from them all paying fees. So it, By the way, there's a connected note to this. If you're in a 401k plan, periodically you get a fee disclosure. It's required by law as of July 2012. You get that fee disclosure and it'll tell you, let's say, $75 a year or $300 a year, whatever it is. You can easily see how much is being taken out of your accounts. Now imagine that number being zero. As soon as that argument is made, lots of employees of companies begin to go into their HR office or benefits director and ask them, hey, could we explore this? Benefits offices see immediate value in working with a specialist who isn't conflicted. So they, all of the sort of murky stuff that typically happens, like plan brokers moving plans periodically because they can make money by moving a plan from one provider to another, or adding investments because they get a bigger kickback from those, all of that disappears with a specialist like me and the company that I run. By the way, if you know people in finance, also talk to them and advocate for copying this model. I've been coaching and encouraging at least a decade now, 2015. Wait, actually going on 20 years. I've been talking about this, and I've been continuously encouraging and advocating for other financial professionals to follow suit, do the same thing I'm doing, because it's just more honest and transparent. So anyway, that has been a successful business model. Some companies get it, some don't. There are companies out there, I mean, I'm going to ballpark based on my research, the average fee that comes out of participants, those are the 401k contributors, accounts, at around, I'll ballpark it at around $70,000 per year on average. Your plan total might be, the money coming out of your plan might be 15 or 20,000. It might be over $1 million. I've seen that. Plan brokers making over $1 million a year to act as agent or broker or plan advisor to that 401k plan. Imagine all that money staying in the plan, in your account. It's a great argument to be made, and it's at least a good discussion to have. So add to that the years that I've now spent doing research and analytics into some of the problems of having introduced woke stuff into mutual fund analysis. There's a little bit to this, bear with me a second here, but it's really important for anybody you might talk to that works on the 401k plan within the company. Those people, typically, it's going to be an HR and benefits director, maybe the CFO, and they might have a title like certified employee benefits specialist or Society of Human Resource Managers. Those are people that have a role of working on the 401k plan. I bring a whole lot of conversation to them around how to do things properly and bring back true, prudent fiduciary due diligence for the investment. I've actually worked on several national organizations. I've worked with several national organizations that do that type of work. They do the due diligence and the reports. Some of the reports that they see and get, they may actually have my thumbprint on them, which is has everything to do with the fact that I've been doing this for over 25 years now. I've worked nationally and with some very large organizations. I want to bring back the right way to do that, which is actual prudent fiduciary due diligence, and get the woke stuff at least exposed. I'm not suggesting we need to go in and shake everything up. We don't need to change anything about the plan's provider or who is offering the plan or what's in it, but we should at least be clear and transparent on behalf of those people and the company about what's in the plan. There are several current and pending lawsuits alleging breach of fiduciary duty to the 401k plan for companies that took their eye off the ball and allowed the woke stuff to replace traditional tried and true fiduciary metrics. You've heard me mention it before. We've got now 21 state attorneys general, the Secretary of State of Indiana, parts of Texas legislature, American Airlines Pilots Union, and the New York City Workers Union. Some of them are actually even filing lawsuit against providers for having used the woke stuff instead of actually looking with a careful lens at the investments that are made available. I don't have any connection to any investment. I don't make any more money, any less money on any investment recommendation. I set my company up to work that way. But that puts me in the position of being able to advocate on all those different levels, on fee disclosure, on prudent due diligence of the investment selection, on the manager searches and the provider searches without any ambiguity and with no conflict of interest. New for 2025, what I've offered, because I want to try to move the needle on getting more of the roughly $46 trillion in US retirement savings accounts, about 13 trillion of which is in 401k plans, out of the hands of woke Wall Street. I'd like to advocate and try to move as quickly as possible on getting patriotic American workers given the option of investing in things that aren't woke, that fund the future that we would like to see for the next generation, which means actually free markets and not those that what I call the woke globalist cabal or the parade of woke sameness. Those are episodes, by the way, that I've done. Go back and watch those if you're not sure what that means. So putting a bow around all of that, I plan to bring this whole conversation to employers that offer 401k plans or anything like it for a flat fee that the company pays of $5,000. That flat fee, I don't want that to be unattached to anything. Let's assume the average of $70,000 per year coming out of all the employees' accounts. That typically means the CEO and the chairman and controller and the HR staff, usually, typically, all of them are in the 401k plan. And if we can show them an easy way of stripping out the fees that they're paying that's far exceeds that flat fee, that for me, by the way, about $5,000 is about cost for me to aid in this way and act as specialist to the company on the administration of the 401k plan. It's a complete different paradigm shift from siphoning fees out of the participants' accounts. So there's a little bit of lead up and a little bit of conversation, and I will say that this isn't going to be for everybody. Lots of companies are sort of placated or feel most comfortable working with the big name brand Wall Street type of firm. Although I will say eventually, I think they come to the conclusion that they're virtually identical. They're just changing the logo on the sheet that is presented to employees. I see very little difference between the approach of any of them, but that's just me. But there are some companies out there that will at least entertain the conversation, especially smaller, closely held companies that have a patriotic leaning. If they're veteran owned, for instance, or patriot owned business, those kinds of companies, I think are a good target market, and I'd love the chance to speak with them about this topic. I've done a few posts on it recently. You can check those out as well, where I've got some graphics. It shows some hypothetical differences in growth when you eliminate those fees that participants typically pay. But at a minimum, it's a conversation I'd love to have with more people. If you're in a position to make some introductions, I'd greatly appreciate it. And as always, please stay tuned for exciting upcoming episodes of Unwoke Academy.